Chuck Parks.
Here.
Diane McIntyre here. Bob McCosey.
Here.
Ron Longo.
Here.
Pam Kabinski.
Here.
Peggy O'Keefe.
Here.
Keith Keller. Sorry, Keith.
That microphone is much louder. Hello? Okay.
Okay. This is for our insurance, property insurance increase that we raised 20% last year, or previous budget to 712,000. It looks like it's gonna come in at about 1.5 million. Okay? The way it stands right now. We still don't know, okay? They're down to the wire with this thing. They're still working at it, the agent. Like we said before, every complex is skyrocketed. This doesn't surprise me because I've talked to other complexes. They've either doubled or tripled. One complex I talked to went from 600,000 to 1.2 million. We're at 1.5 right now. Let's just shoot it out there to the people out there, or let's do board comments first. Anybody got anything to say?
Yeah, I just got one thing, okay? We're going to be the bearer of bad news, okay? So don't hold it against any manager or directors. Once you see what's happening down the pike, don't get upset at us because our hands are tied. And now stop at that, because I just watched the video for 1 hour about insurances and so forth, and it's very heartbreaking. So there. I don't want to start on a negative, but that's the truth, and that's what it is.
One of the things I wanted to say, as it stands right now, the 2 twos are at 626. They will go to $767 a month. Okay, yeah, okay. That's a $141 increase. The 2 ones and the 1 or 2 1 and or two ones and the 1 1.5s are going to go from 563 to 688, $125 increase. Okay, that's the way it stands right now. We don't even know yet. We haven't even figured it out yet because they're still working on it. These insurance companies are coming right down to the last minute. I mean, our insurance is due like on the 10th, am I right, Chris?
10th of the month.
On the 10th of the month. Okay, that's where we stand with these guys. And the 1-1s are gonna go from 501 to 611, $110 increase, the way it stands right now. Could be more, might be a little bit less. I wouldn't plan on less though, the way things are going.
So give like an explanation? You want to give a little explanation of what we're planning on doing?
What we plan on doing is we're going to put it into the special assessment, but that's going to put the special assessment well over $1,700 because we still got about a $500 special assessment just for the ponds and everything else. So what we're deciding, what we want to do is put it into the budget. We're going to amend the budget and put it into the budget, which it'll increase the budget by 141, 125, and 110 right now. So your payments will go up in July. On July 1st, that's when the payments will go up. We think that's the best way to do it because there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be able to afford to come up with $1,700, $1,800. Okay. I don't know. I mean, is anybody else on the board want to put got any comments? Anybody? No?
No, you're doing fine.
Anybody out there with questions? Just throw the question up. Go ahead, Jude.
If it's not put into a special assessment and it increases the monthly maintenance, next year I would hope that insurance doesn't increase by the same percentage amount. So would our
We're
monthly
hoping.
maintenance go down? I mean, personally, I'd rather have an assessment, get it done and over with, than to have it go
Okay.
into our monthly maintenance and have it continue at that trajectory.
Well,
And
it's gonna continue there anyway. This is still has to be added into the budget for next year. Okay, so this the 1.5 million will be added to the budget. It's gonna go from 712 to 1.5 million. What our increase next year will be, we don't have any idea. We usually put 20% in, so if we put 20% of the 1.5, we're looking at $300,000 on top of it, okay? Which is gonna be another increase. We don't know what it's gonna do next year. We don't have any idea. I mean, it's a guessing game.
we would all love that crystal ball. Unfortunately,
It's crazy.
we don't have it.
Yeah, if we
I
had
would
a crystal
I
ball,
would
it'd be
just hope
nice.
it doesn't go up as much as it did this year.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment? I would just like to reiterate that when people are commenting and questions, and I know we have a million, please put name and unit number, please?
Judy Roberts, 17G.
Thanks,
Sorry
Judy.
about that.
I'm Brad Cairns, I'm in Unit 33E. I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna start with one. Do we have the opportunity to check any other insurance company rather than just take the one that we have?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the state right now is very limited on insurance companies that are actually writing policies for condominiums. There's very few of them. We are actually lucky that the one that we do have is willing to rewrite us. We're looking at Citizens still. However, we doubt Citizens will quote us because of the age of our buildings and our roofs. Citizens is also working on a 5-day window release, so even if they do quote us, we won't have a quote from them until Friday or Saturday. They only quote 5 days before your policy takes effect. Being that we are commercial, we ourselves cannot go out to individual insurance companies. You have to have an agent that does this. He is going out to every single company that's writing policies in the state of Florida.
Okay, a comment on that. I was visiting with another resident last night. They talked about their own personal homeowners insurance here on the condo going up 3 times.
Yeah.
Ours didn't go up at all, different insurance company, and they want to know which insurance company that was. I mean, I say not at all, a few dollars. It was absolutely negligent what it went up. So that's why I ask about the other companies.
Yeah.
The other question I'll have at this time is, I understand that we've had different HOA amounts for the different units, end units more than anybody else. We're in an end unit, and we know that. How do I benefit more from the insurance on the end than does somebody in the middle? And I understand we have the different levels now, but why can't we take some of these increases that we have now and spread it evenly if it's an even, if it affects me and an inside unit the same? Why don't we divide that evenly rather than continuing to escalate the end units? Because by percentage, we're getting farther and farther away from the inside units with our HOA.
Right. We've addressed that question numerous times at many meetings. It is written in the condominium documents that that's how it's broken down, and to change the percentage takes 100% of all the owners to change it. So that means only one C unit has to say, absolutely not, I'm not voting for it, and we can't do it.
The 100% is a rule in there as well. Why can't that rule be changed?
Because that cannot be amended. It cannot be amended in our condo documents. Believe me, we have looked at this at Lyndon. I mean, we have done this every single year. When people bring it up, we come back to them with the question. This is not the first time it's been discussed. There is absolutely nothing we can do the way our condo docs were written.
Okay.
That's
a hard one to accept.
It is.
It is
You're
what it is.
You're
I mean,
absolutely right.
You're 100%.
You're absolutely right.
The other thing I'd like to bring up is that each and every one of us in our personal budgets, when we get hit with something, we got hit with an air conditioner this last year. We had to put it in, so we're making payments on putting that air conditioner in. We didn't have the ability to go to Social Security or any of our income streams and say, we got to have more money. We have to cut back on some other areas. Maybe we don't take one of the trips we wanted to take this year because we have to pay for that.
Right.
So my question to our association here is, when we get hit with some of these things, and we had planned to do different projects around here, why can't we back off on some of those projects rather than thinking that we have an endless stream of money simply by going to everybody and saying, you have an assessment, we're going to raise your HOA. We can't raise our incomes the way you're raising our HOA and our assessment. So I think we need to do more due diligence and be better at managing our money, in the sense that we cut back on some projects when we get hit with stuff like this and say, we can't do that this year, we got to do it another year or 2 years down the road, so that we don't keep getting hit with constant increases it's going to break somebody in here before too long, and people are going to start moving out because they can't afford to live here.
No, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. Yeah, we can reduce projects. The ones that are in place right now, we can't do anything about. We've already got signed contracts for the roofs. We've already got signed contracts for the ponds. Next year, we got another pond that's got to be done. We don't have to do it. I mean, we can wait for the sand to just go into the pond, and if it sweeps out from underneath the building and one of the buildings goes down, then we got an issue. But I mean, this is stuff that's been going on for years. Previous boards never touched a thing in this place. They gave all the money back to the people. Every time there was a windfall from like Comcast, they would give it back to the people. Well, that was a one-year thing. The following year, you gotta make up that, let's say it's $60,000, you gotta make it up the following year. There's not a lot we can do. I mean, things have gotta be done. You gotta maintain the property. We don't have much of a choice there. I mean, yeah, we could stop projects. I mean, if that's what everybody wants to do, we can do that. We just stop them. That's all. That'll stop the special assessments. It's not gonna stop your maintenance from going up, because we still have water, electric, sewer. We have stuff in the maintenance, so there's only one thing we can get around, and that comes down to probably increases in pay. That's it, salaries. And that's the only thing we've got control of in here. Everything else is just normal budget and stuff.
Just
There's not gonna be a lot to do.
Just a point of information that the state requires that we put so much every year for
Into our
roofs,
reserves.
paving, painting, and any object or any projects over $10,000. It's mandated by the state of Florida. So, for example, when, like for the roofs come due, for example, you'd have enough money when the roofs are due. The paving, the parking, that's mandated by the state. They have a formula they use. You have to put that amount of money in your budget regardless. That's the state for those 4 projects. Other projects, like you said, salary is one of the bigger ones that we can take a look at, or maybe some of the projects like that we don't really have to, we can back off possibly. That's a good point. But we'll have to look at that.
I mean, I agree with you 100%, Brad. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, you know, we can't, there's only so much we can control. That's the whole thing. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Wait for the mic.
Wait for the mic. Okay.
Oh,
I want to commend the board. You're in a tough situation, but it's not your fault. I lost my homeowner's insurance, and I have called every place there is, and the only thing I can get is Citizens. And any of you that have the hurricane windows, guess what? $300, they have to come inspect them if they're up to code now. So it's $3,500 for me to get homeowners. I'm not getting it. I'm gonna just do liability. As far as the insurance on the buildings here, come on, this is our homes. It's not their fault. It's just the way it is. They told me at the insurance companies that because of the hail, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, there's nothing they can do about it. Insurance is gonna keep going up. So we have to bite the bullet, I hate to say, if we want to keep our property the way it is. That's just my opinion.
So as everybody remembers, I was saying, we had to do a new real estate appraisal. That, because we're considered commercial, that's how they determine what we're worth, what our property's worth. So the last time we had the appraisal done, which you have to do it every 3 years, it came in at 44 million. Well, this year it came in at 58 million. So the cost to replace our property went up by $14 million. That puts a per building price at right around $960,000 to $1 million per building, minus the deductible of 3 to 5%. So $1 million with a 3% deductible, that's $30,000 per building as a deductible.
I was gonna, go ahead.
I just have a comment. Oh, I'm Jean from Building 13F. No, I'm Pat. Does anyone know a good realtor? Because I'm looking for one no. Also, how many in this room now are on a fixed income? Raise your hands.
Everybody's in it.
So some of the younger people that are moving in still work, and that's great because kudos to them. But
Paying our Social
with all that being said, our HOA will go up $760. Where else can we go where cable's included, water's included? And if you do choose to go somewhere else, where are you gonna go? Because everything else has gone up.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, yep, between a rock and a hard place.
I mean, no, you're 100% right, Pat. And you want to know something? I mean, us board members get hit with it too. So it's not like we want it. I mean, I certainly don't want it, I'll tell you that. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Sabrina Stagnita, 41E. I hate that it's going up, but this is happening everywhere, all over the state. So the same thing is happening to everywhere else. And if you move somewhere else, it's going to be, the situation's going to be the same there. As far as doing the maintaining, like of the roofs and of the ponds, I think you have to do those. You have to do the ponds because our buildings are going to erode. You're going to get sinkholes and all that kind of stuff. So you have to maintain. It's too bad we have to do it now, but the sooner we get it done, I think the better, and then that expense will be gone.
Yeah,
And
prices
then the
aren't gonna go down
roofs-
either.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. We keep putting it off, and the prices keep going higher and higher, and then they end up being like the roofs.
Yeah.
If we did the roofs a while ago, they wouldn't have doubled the way they did. So now the roofs are double, and then part of the whammy with the insurance is that insurance companies want the roofs now, am I right, Chris, to be done every 20 years?
Citizens is actually looking for every 15.
Yeah, so roofs are good for 30 to 40 years, but now they want people to maintain the roofs or redo the roofs every 15, 20 years. So that's another problem. And without the roofs done, some of the insurances, if they're not like almost brand new, they don't want to insure you. So that jacks up the price of the insurance. So we have to do, there's projects, we want to put them off and not do them, but the more you put them off, it's, two-edged sword. You're going to hurt yourself. Okay, we're going to save the money now, but you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you can stop doing, you have to maintain all the time, I think.
We also have no choice. We have to fully insure according to our docs. So we can't go to insure half, say go to 50%, which will kill you anyway. It doesn't make any difference. We have to insure for 100%. So the 1.5 million is what we have to insure for. In order to keep the policy where it's got, what do we got, $50 million? Is it 50 million, Chris?
The policy is for 58 million.
58
million is
Okay.
what our real estate appraisal went up to. And to do anything less would take an amendment to the docs, and you couldn't have 256 people deciding for everyone to underinsure. That might be great, but when you underinsure, they only cover that percentage. So let's say we insure for 50%. The building's worth $1 million. They're only insuring it for $500,000. If you have $750,000 worth of damage, you're all getting a special assess for that. Take that by 10 buildings, there's $2.5 million that you're getting special assessed for. It doesn't make sense to underinsure.
Especially with the hurricanes and the tornadoes on top of it besides.
Joan Slattery, Building 27. Anyway, in today's Stewart News, they did the article that this problem is everywhere. Okay, but they were giving also how to go about looking to see to lower your rates. I don't know if it means anything, but they also said on your deductibles, you can raise your deductible, and if there's a big thing that can hurt, but if you never have it, I don't know what we pay for a deductible, or if you made it more, would that help anybody?
Go ahead, Chris.
So right now our deductible is at 3%, and it is most likely going to 5%. Again, we will not know until we actually have that policy. There are very few things the entire association can do to lower the prices, and that would be retrofitting all the roofs, every single building, paying for their own windows and getting hurricane windows, every single door in the property being replaced. It gets to a point where the money that we're spending is not going to save us that much money on your premiums. Okay? You'd be getting huge special assessments to replace every single window in this place, every single door, having the roofs retrofitted. It gets to a point where one is outweighing the other, and it just doesn't make sense to do it.
John? Frank Canizero, Building 26A. A lot of us have put windows in, the hurricane windows. We all told them we were doing it, that we would be credited for that when they had to do it to everybody else.
Okay, so the board totally looked into that, okay? And it is actually cheaper for you guys to do your windows on your own than for the association to special assess you for them because of the percentage breakdown.
Well, we
So,
have done-
hang on. So right now, if we say we're gonna do everybody, you're still gonna get special assessed even though you already have windows. Because now you have to help pay for everyone else.
Well, you see, that's what we were led to believe, that we wouldn't have to pay. It was told by the board.
That,
at
well,
that
you
time.
don't. You don't.
You're not paying
And we
for your
went
unit.
out, and it's cheaper for everybody to do their own. So rather than the association special assessing everyone to do them, we have told people, we've discussed this for the last 2 years, it's cheaper for you to go get your own windows, in no matter what unit you own now, what size, than if the board implemented a special assessment.
Changing your windows is not gonna make that much of a difference in the premium, believe me.
Correct.
It's not gonna make that much of a difference. You can put a new roof on, not gonna make that much of a
Right.
difference. It's gonna-
That's
the-
exactly.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's, you know, these insurance companies really have got you.
I have the answer.
Oh, good.
I just June Bayman, what am I, 44C. I just contracted with Monterey to do my kitchen window, and it's $900. So,
Right.
just
Yeah.
point of reference.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a special assessment, you'd be paying a lot more than $900 because you're gonna help pay for all the other windows in here. We did the research. We contacted, four different companies?
different companies.
And it is less expensive for you to do the windows on your own than for us to go out and do the windows and special assess.
Yeah, we had a resident that wanted new windows put in, and we went through the whole process, and he ended up doing it himself, so.
Pat Ellington, 44G. Everything is going up. Let me give you an example. When I first moved in here 20 years ago, I chose to replace my screens, $15 a piece. I even did the man next door because he had a big hole in his screen. I just replaced them. They are now $80 a piece
Yeah.
because of labor. I just put in a new air conditioner. I could have probably waited a couple of years. I bought a quality air conditioner. I paid $6,000. That's today's prices. Who knows what they're going to be next year?
Yeah.
But regarding the assessments, I personally, I don't know what everybody else, I would much rather pay an annual assessment rather than keep going up so much on the monthly fee. And I say that because when I come to sell the unit, that monthly fee is going to play a large
Yeah.
part of how much I get out of it.
Okay,
Thank
so for this particular year, the board could special assess you the difference, okay? Because we're allowed to special assess to make up a deficit. However, that number, because it's a continuing bill, it's a bill that we get year after year after year, has got to be, according to the state of Florida, it has to be incorporated into your monthly maintenance. It cannot always be funded by special assessment. We can only do it one time. And as Ron was saying, it's gonna put the 1-1s to close to $1,820 special assessment.
Yeah.
That we need all at one time. This is not something that we could break up and say, give us 300. You would have to write us a check for $1,820 at one time.
Now remember, I'm gonna reiterate on that. That the $141, I'm gonna say, that's gonna go up, it's getting added on next year anyway.
Right.
Plus whatever the budget goes up next year.
Right.
Okay.
Marilyn Paul, 41A. I know it's high. I understand it. It's high for me too. But did you ever try and rent a place down here? A one-bedroom apartment out there, and I'm talking not in a nice area with everything we have. You're looking $1,800 to $2,200. So when you look at it that way, we have a bargain. I know it doesn't make sense, but I have never had anybody say I pay too much HOA with that golf course, and I can't play golf anymore. But I have the pleasure of watching everybody play golf. We have more than most places have. So I think if you look at it that way, where are you going to go?
Okay.
And anybody can find a
This,
place cheaper
this,
than that.
this is not a unique situation in this complex. It's throughout the state of Florida. Homeowners insurance, and I'll turn that over to him because he knows what his homeowners insurance was gonna go up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's absurd. I got a non-renewal notice for my condo, okay? I don't even have wind coverage. All I got is fire and theft on the condo, okay? They're not gonna renew me. Why? I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with hurricane. So, so now I'm gonna have to go out and shop for insurance. Most of these people, I've heard people that were paying $1,000, they're paying $3,000 now. I'm gonna use that for an example, but I know she's one of them, or Marilyn's one of them. But there's a lot of people in that situation. If your policy didn't go up, you're lucky. Maybe it was the time it renewed, who knows? If you're not an admitted company in this state, okay, admitted by the state, if the company goes under, you're not covered. They could pay you 10 cents a dollar, they might just not pay you anything. If the company is admitted, they have to pay you, you're gonna get 100%, because what happens is the company pays you 50 cents on the dollar, you're gonna get the other 50 cents on the dollar through Citizens or through the state itself, just so you know. And I'll let Chris, you can, his homeowner's insurance it skyrocketed.
Well, like Marilyn was saying, it went from 14 to 26 to 33, cancellation, we'll reinsure you for 8,000. I can't afford that. My real estate, my insurance agent found it for about 37. It went up about $600, but I had to drop my coverage, and my deductible went from 2% to 5%.
It's just a crazy world. They got a shortage on everything, even insurance. It's unbelievable. Go ahead.
Kim Sinceri, 8A. I got a flyer from the same insurance company that I have, trying to sell me the insurance without the hurricane for more money, and then I get canceled. They're phasing out everyone. Every condo is being phased out in a series. And these buildings have collapsed, and the states have put so many mandates on it. And we're saying, quit the projects. We quit the projects, we're going to collapse too. We might only have 2 stories, but if it seeps in the water erodes, and we're close to water there, and we have ponds there. If we don't do the projects, we're screwed.
I'm going to give you an example.
So-
Building 51 is the one that I'm in. We redid the culvert back, about 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah. We had to pump concrete underneath that building because the culverts, we had holes in them, and the sand was going through it, and it's pulling it out from underneath the building. Same thing has happened with these ponds, okay, especially if the buildings are close. If you noticed on Pond 5, when they did Pond 5 behind Building 1, look at the real estate that we gained back there, okay? There's a lot of land that we gained back. All that sand was in the pond, and it pulls. It's like an hourglass. It's not dirt like it is up north, hard dirt. This is sand, and it's pulling it right out, just like an hourglass. So, those are things that should be done. If you don't want to do them and a building collapses, we're gonna end up paying for it, put it that way.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Nilsa, 9F, I've said 9A, I don't even live in 9A. Did you say that the amount that's going up now, that's not in concrete, it still may change? The difference in the HOA?
We gave you the higher,
Less
we
than-
gave you the higher number.
Okay.
Yeah, so that if it goes down, you'll be like, ooh, wow, it went down.
I don't think so.
We hope it goes down, that's the thing.
I don't think so.
Like I said, they're still working at it. We don't even have a set figure.
Okay, now that you said that, how much time do you have? What are we looking at?
Okay, so our policy renews on the 10th. As I said, Citizens won't even, if they bid or quote us, they won't even give us a quote until the 5th till 5 days before your policy is due. Okay? So we usually do not find out what our actual policy is until around the 8th of the month, and our policy renews on the 10th. Again, that's everywhere. It's commercial. So what the board is planning on doing is you're going to be getting a letter. Once we know the exact amount, we're going to be sending out a letter explaining all of this, what the new cost is, and that they're proposing to amend the budget, and the new figure will be such and such. It'll also have what the special assessment will be. They're gonna hold a special assessment budget amendment meeting on Tuesday, May 30th at 10 a.m. We should have all the figures in. If you are an ACH, we can automatically change it. If not, you will get a new coupon book with the amended amount. You will also receive a coupon for the special assessment. That stuff will all go into effect. We're looking for July 1st. So once this goes and we get the figure, a letter will be going out. I will be contacting you to see how many of your building reps can hand deliver it and save some money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to piggyback, part two of that question is, next year, I know the Finance Committee is looking to increase because of the large increase, and I guess they didn't even think on 1.5. I don't know what they used to calculate. So next year, if we're looking at an increase in the insurance again, because there's other stuff going on, we're looking at another increase on our HOA? So there's no way to add that to the add it to the budget.
gonna be
Still
added
coming
to the
out of our
budget next year.
pocket in advance so that we don't get hit again next year? Like
So-
it's estimated?
Okay, so that's what we did this year. And we
Yeah, but
put,
it wasn't
and we
enough.
put 20% in.
Right.
Pam had even said, because we thought we were a little low, let's increase it to 40. We'd still be sitting here. We would still be sitting here doing this same exact conversation. It may not have been quite as much,
Right.
but it went up 120%. Another 20% added to the budget is not going to help. That's why the board was also kicking the idea around of changing our fiscal year from when our budget would start. But that wouldn't be able to take effect until 2025 because there's no way we could do it by 2024. So because of our insurance falling in the middle of the year, basically, we constantly have to guess at what the increase is going to be. Now, up until this year, it's been fine. You know, increase at 10, increase at 8, increase at 12, and we've always come, within budget or a couple of thousand up or down. This is a different animal.
Sure is.
The question is, do you mean an assessment on top of the HOA?
So you're going to get an assessment this year for the ponds.
Yes.
The deficit in the roofs, the deficit in the liability insurance for this year,
Because that went up too.
and the deficit and the remainder of what we need to finish the 3 ponds after we get our hot water money. So there will be a special assessment for those projects, and as Ron said, we've already signed the contract with the roofers, we've already signed the contract with the pond guys. We need both of those monies, so there's nothing we can do about it. So there will be a special assessment that was being planned, and then your maintenance going up by whatever the insurance actually comes in.
It's the remainder of the year, Chris.
The assessments for the remainder of the year, and then of course going into 2024. That's going to stay on your monthly maintenance. It's not like that's going to pay for itself. It's going to be from July to December, and then into 2024. That amount's going to stay on the budget.
Still part of our budget.
Still part of the budget.
Still part of the budget. Right now, if it stays at 1.5 million, we budgeted 712,000. It's going up $788,000. That's $1,545 spread out equally on the 510 units. Everybody else, and bring up Brad's point, the 2-2s are looking at more. So that the total assessment, the total special assessment, if we did that right now, would be almost $2,050. Okay, that's spread out equally.
So the special assessment is running approximately like 467, 390, and 352 or something like that. I'm
490,
sorry.
I think it's 490.
I don't have it right in front of me, but that's what the special assessment is running for those, the ponds, the roofs, etc.
Little under 500 for the 2-2s, and then it just goes down from there.
The special assessment will be about $497 for the A
For
units.
the
And for the
2-2s.
AEF and Js.
The 2s, yeah.
And you'll be getting that letter, like I said, that'll be going out once we have the exact amount from the insurance company.
Go ahead, Frank.
My name is Frank Swiderski, 48B. I'm just going to ask you, Chris, a while back, when you had your social meeting there, and the insurance issue would come up about the 10%, maybe going to 20 or 30, and you sent an assessment. It seems like it just blew off the wall and went where it is now. The other question is, I remember you saying, I asked about Hotwire. Are we paying them? And you said, no, we're using that money for the ponds. Are we still using that money for the ponds?
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious
Yes.
on that.
Yeah. Got Brad back there.
Hi, I'm Brad Cairns. I'm still in 33E though.
Right now.
For now, yeah.
For now.
For
yeah,
now.
For now. It sounds like you've got contracts, you say you have contracts on the ponds, and then you're gonna come out with an assessment to pay for that.
Yeah.
Am I correct in the way I heard that?
That's the difference. The hot wire money that we have is around, I'm just gonna round this off, around $200,000 that we're putting towards the ponds. We still need another $83,000, so that's part of the special assessment. In other words, we're not getting hit for the whole $283,000, because we got 200 of it already from hot wire.
How do you get money from Hotwire when they're coming here putting things in?
That was a signing bonus with them.
Okay. But my question about, you have contracts and now you're coming to us with an assessment. Why don't we, before you sign a contract, why do we know what it's gonna cost so we can decide, do we wanna do that pond right now? Do we wanna do all 3 ponds or 1 pond? And I hear about, and I've heard since I've been here about erosion of ponds. Has there been a study done on any of these ponds as to how long at the current rate of erosion it's going to affect the building so that we can plan our pond reconstruction on a schedule that makes sense so that we don't have a problem with the building, but we don't jump into it with fear and say we got to do them all right now, because maybe that's not imminent that we have to do them all right now. But I don't like signing a contract and then finding out what it's going to cost me later and have nothing to say about it. That bothers me. And I also think, I've been in business long enough, you sign a contract, but there are times you can put a hold on a contract too, because they say, look, something else happened, I've got to put this on hold for a while. I will still come back and do it, but I need to put it on a hold. So do we have to do all 3 ponds right now and continue spending the kind of money we're spending?
So yes, of course, we knew what the prices were going to be before we signed the contract, and we knew there was going to be a special assessment. I think we've been discussing the ponds for the last 6 years at every single meeting that there is, and we knew what the prices were going to be. We knew how much money we had left over from the original special assessment. We knew how much money we were getting from Hotwire, and we knew what the difference was going to be to finish those 3 ponds. The roofs, one of the reasons the insurance isn't going up even more is because we did contract to do 20 of the roofs this year. Because of inflation and COVID, the cost of roofs went up by about $20,000 a roof. So we're short only by $85,000 in our budget. That's how well the Finance Committee has done over the years, making sure that we have enough money in our accounts to pay for these things. We are only short by about $85,000 for 20 roofs to get replaced. We still have another 9 roofs that are going to have to be done in 2025. However, some of the roofs that were done that are fine are well over 15 years. So according to citizens, we'd have to replace them, even though we actually have absolutely no problems with any of those roofs that were replaced, say, in 2010, that are now already 23 years old. So you get to a point where which thing do you do? Do you just replace the roofs because we're going to save a little money on insurance? Doesn't make sense to me. Again, the ponds has been discussed as nauseum. Now, the next pond is Pond 3, which is going to be the most expensive pond. And maybe we do hold off on doing that pond. If I lived in building 36 and I now see where that culvert that used to be buried is now sticking out of the ground by 20 feet, I'd be a little concerned if I lived in one of those buildings.
I'm going to give you an example. I've been out there with the irrigation guy helping him, okay, on Pond 3. There's irrigation pipes that are out there. They're going right into the pond. The banks are just eroding, okay? We don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. Sooner or later, it's going to get to the buildings. It's only a matter of time. Okay, that sand, just because the sand's coming out of the banks doesn't mean it's not coming out from underneath the buildings. And if you talk to anybody, they'll tell you that. Any contractor will tell you that. So it's a matter of what you want to do. I mean, we don't have to do anything. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, it depends on whether you want to keep the property up or let it go. The board is supposed to keep the property up. We're supposed to maintain everything, so. Go ahead, Brett.
I'm still the same. I don't disagree with the maintenance and doing the ponds. That, I'm not trying
No,
to
okay.
tell you that I
No.
disagree with all this. And if Pond 3 is the worst, and it's the most expensive, it sounds like you probably have enough money sitting there to do Pond 3 at this point.
Well, it's not the worst though, Brad. If you go over to by building 25, where pond 25 is, okay, it's right on top of the building right now.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, we're not doing things that don't need to be done, believe me. I mean, they let these ponds go for 50-something years. We just started doing them, what, 5 or 6 years ago, we started doing these ponds. They never did any, they never went in and dredged or anything else. The board just let everything go. So now it's got kicked down to the newer boards as they come along.
It was literally one of the very first things that the board, when I was hired, had me look into, was doing Pond 5.
Right.
And the price came in at $85,000 at that time. We paid $195 to get it done 6 years ago. When they heard that price, absolutely not, we're not doing it. They just kept kicking it down the road.
How many
And
times-
now we're paying for it.
How many times did they do that, Chris, and got engineer reports and prints and the thing?
Numerous times.
Okay.
Numerous
Never did
times.
anything. Paid for an engineer and paid for
And
prints.
then never did
and never did
anything.
anything with it. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy to have somebody come and not do anything with it.
True. I agree with what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. It just seems like, since I've been here, we do a pond, and then next year we do another pond, and you're
Yeah.
saying we gotta do all 3 ponds this year. It just feels excessive, as if we could maybe not do one of them. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's just sitting here on the outside
I
looking at
believe
it.
the only one that we'd be able to get away without doing is Pond 2.
Yeah.
That would be the only one. Everything else is up against buildings.
All right, just to ask a
And that's,
question,
and
then
that's,
how much
that's a,
savings
that's a
would that-
minute amount, and you're looking at $90,000.
And Nilsa just said how much saving, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and you're not saving that.
It's like $90,000. $90,000 in this is a drop in the bucket. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's 90 grand still, but that's nothing. That's less than $200 a unit.
Yeah.
I have a question. Still Jean from Building 13F. These ponds, I know they're beautiful. What purpose are they other than just, oh, they're so beautiful?
They're not for beauty at all.
Okay, all of them.
Correct.
Never were. No.
Correct. We are actually, this is for stormwater drainage, okay? We have drains that come from the plaza, that comes from Palm City Road, that comes from Windjammer, that actually drain into here. These are actually for drainage. That's what these are called. They are drainage basins. There's no way to fill them. People used to say, let's fill them, let's fill them. We're not allowed to actually fill them. They are for storms. It's great if they look good and we can have a fountain in them, but anybody who saw, before we started getting rain, you saw Pond 5, how low it got. We had to shut fountains off. They're not here for the beauty.
Okay, so if they're draining from these other buildings or
Yeah.
areas, they're not responsible?
No.
No.
Nope, and neither is the county.
These are all interconnected. Okay, all these ponds are interconnected, and they all, the main weir, the dam is down on the end of Pond 4, which goes out to the river. That's what that culvert was that they replaced 5 or 6 years ago that goes down to the river. All that stuff drains out there. So we open that up when we want to drain it down, maybe before a storm. We'll take the thing, we'll open the dam up, we'll drain the ponds down so they can fill back up again.
So it's kind of like playing Russian roulette,
Yeah.
where you do it or you don't do it. You
Yeah.
take that chance, maybe we won't do it, and then it costs, then it's, the building's falling in. So, and these insurance companies really, it's like a dictatorship, because they're telling you what to do, and their prices, because of all the storms, even though we're not affected, up. Trust me, up in Orlando, that's exactly what people were putting in claims that didn't even have damage. So, whatever.
One of the things I wanted to say and I'm gonna shoot this over to Chris. How many buildings have we pumped concrete under?
Oh, at least 3. How many buildings have we pumped concrete under?
Over the past few years, I mean, because the ponds were eroded.
At least 3. And actually, building 38 a few years ago was a sinkhole. The end of this building was actually dropping. They had to jack up the building and pump concrete underneath it.
So, I mean, we don't want to run into those problems because that's an expense to everybody. Insurance is not going to cover that. Right.
Oh, no, we don't have sinkhole insurance.
No,
There
that's
is
what I'm
no
saying.
such thing for.
Kim Cesare,
Go ahead.
Building 8A still. Quick question for you. They're doing all this road work, and I see all these pipes. Is this going to have any effects on our ponds?
No, those pipes do not come into
There's
our ponds.
nothing
No.
that's going to drain
No,
in there?
no.
And the second thing I was going to say, when we were looking at condos when I came in here, this is one of the few condos that had a good budget and had money there for problems
Right.
and things that were, because it was something I looked at.
Yeah.
You know, how much is going to have to be done? It hasn't been done, and is there the money for it? And we were in better shape here than most places. So kudos to the board and the hard work, and the property looks better than it has. And thank you for doing the maintenance.
Brad, one of the things I wanted to say to Brad, Brad, is over in what am I thinking over here?
Circle Bay,
Not
Windjammer.
Circle- Windjammer. In Windjammer, they got a $10,000 special assessment a few years back, okay? Yeah, I mean, with a wall, but I mean, those are things that they probably should have in their reserves, okay? They don't. Most of our reserves are they're in real great shape, okay? I mean, as far as doing things. The ponds are not in there, and we're doing these special assessments. We're trying to do little ones. I mean, you know, 500 this year, 500 next year, instead of hitting everybody with a $15,000 special, a 10 or 15 or 5,000 or whatever it happens to be special assessment. We're trying to spread it out so it's easier on everybody, especially the people that don't have the money. And there's people that don't have it. They live day to day, or they don't. You know, they're, you know, like you say, nobody's increasing in their Social Security or their pensions. We're all getting hit with this. Go ahead, Frank.
Chris, just clarify for me with these ponds. I know they're beautiful. I know we keep them for retention, but there's one more thing I want to realize is, if we ever had a fire, where do we think we're going to get the water from?
That's correct.
Yeah.
They actually pull it from our ponds. That's correct.
That's right. If our ponds are empty and we have a fire, think about that.
There's no fire hydrants in
So
there.
they're
when
nice
they
and
built.
pretty when they're full and the fountains are going and the lights are on, but when they're almost empty. But I'm heavily involved. I know what Ron's saying about the COVID across the street.
Yeah.
Here's the amazing thing, Ron. When we did have super high tide and our COVID was even open, it was full to the top.
Yeah.
And it took me by surprise. I walked down to check the boat ramp. This
Was
is the
over
top
the
of the
top.
boat ramp. This is a slope. The water was right here.
Yeah, it's not going.
And we have
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sewers. And only one sewer out of the 5, water was coming out of, from this pond.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't go into the river. And it's your entranceway, the
Yeah.
only one.
Yep.
All the rest, it just shocked me that, why isn't water coming out of the other ones?
Yeah.
The design, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing, just think about that. Pretty, yes, but for emergency, I hope they're full.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions at all? I mean, I don't know what we can say, but
I just have one comment. And my comment is, we all are on fixed incomes, but I would be really disappointed if we did not give our staff raises. They also have a life that they have to live, and the prices have gone up for them. We do not give extraordinary raises to our staff. And if we don't take care of them, they won't take care of our place. It's my comment.
yeah, one of the things is with the raises, they don't even amount that much to the budget. You're talking about $2 or $3, you know, to the total budget, so it doesn't even amount to that much. It's a minute amount, really. I mean, years ago it might not have been a minute amount, but it is now. It's nothing. Anybody else? Anybody else on the board got anything?
Somber.
No?
Okay, I'd like to say one thing. The previous board, when we had the COVID, they had their hands full then with that. Now, you guys, I want to give you thanks because your hands are full. Everything falls onto you. All the garbage falls onto you. Everybody condemn you guys. I don't. I look at you guys trying to keep this place. One thing I always felt, You don't take that job to get a pat on the back. You take that job to keep this place the way it's supposed to be. I want to thank you guys.
Hey, they gave me a raise this year. I got a 0 on the front end, a 0 on the back end, and 3 zeros in the middle now.
What, you got a raise?
Yeah, we got a razor.
I got a raise, all right.
It's me, Jean.
Same building.
I just want to say, you have somebody on your staff that is wonderful. His name is Wes. I had an opportunity of meeting him the other day as he's fixing one of our sprinklers. He is the most polite, hard worker.
For sure.
And yes, and I'm hoping everyone in this community treats him as such. He is learning. Where do you find a young, nice guy like that who wants to get his hands dirty?
We had to let him go this morning.
You can leave.
Strike that from
Thank
the
you,
records.
Pat. I mean, that goes for all the employees. I mean, Wes is extraordinary, obviously, but I mean, all of our employees are good. I mean, they show up, they do what they have to do, you know, so.
Gene.
Try to treat them all nice.
Gene, today is Wes's birthday.
I got to take him to lunch.
Does anybody else have anything? Nothing?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can sing individually. It would be nice if he had lots of singing.
I guess we'll somebody make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
everybody.
people, for coming
Sorry for the bad news.
and for your interest. Bye, Jean.